Hey everyone, this is Lisa from Life in Layouts, and today I am back with part number 3 of 4 of the Great Scrapbook Room Reset of November 2024. In this video, I'm going to be organizing a lot of things in my room. I'm going to be showing you the containers that I use, as well as some of the different spaces that I am utilizing in my room. I did purchase a couple of new things, but I tried to stay very budget friendly, and a lot of my containers do come from the Dollar Tree. I feel like the Dollar Tree has plenty of containers that work perfectly fine for any type of organization. If you are more of a person who likes bright, fun colors, I would definitely suggest shopping in the springtime. If you're a person who likes more of the fall colors, like the jewel tones and things like that, I would suggest looking at the stores during the fall time. But I have always been able to find pretty awesome containers at the Dollar Tree. I will link the playlist for the Great Scrapbook Room Reset of November 2024 here for you guys if you would like to see video number 1 and 2 if you have not seen them already. I left off the last video with putting back my Bella Boulevard petite prints, as well as some of the boy collections that I have for my room. And so this is the next day, and I'm starting to add additional items. At this point in the reset, I am completely over having stuff in my living room, and I am trying to get stuff in the room as quickly as possible. Also during this time is when Hurricane Milton made a direct impact to my county. We had some major damages to the county itself, and luckily we did not have any severe damages to the home. We did have some water come into our foundation, but nothing that was too bad. So at one point there was times where I was very organized in my room and then had to quickly move things around and get things up on higher grounds. So that did put a little bit of a damper on my organization, but I do eventually get it done. So let's jump into part number 3. All right, so it's the next day, and I thought that I would bring in my embellishment binders. I do have a video on how I store my embellishments. I will link it here. I had them originally in 3-ring binders, but then moved them to 1-inch binders and separated them by colors. And I like this way so much better. But I am going to revamp it in this makeover as well. I put my ink pens as well as my ink over on the shelves over here, but I don't know if they're going to stay there. I just wanted to get them in the spot and then decide later. Then I brought in my thickers and I moved them over to the taller shelf. They used to be right above my color binder, but I have a plan for that area. And now I have enlisted the help of Eli. I decided to move these boxes around. I really don't like that open shelf concept. I wanted the 3 drawers instead of the 4 shelves. I just didn't like the way that it looked. And I am going to bring over my punches into one of the drawers. So I needed to move that around. So Eli is holding up my door while I move those boxes around. And he did say that it was a very heavy door and I needed to hurry because I was taking too long. So I first started to bring over my punches, and my thought was I'll be able to get all my punches in here. And you know that I store my punches over to the right, and I don't like them over there because they're too far. They're on the other side of my Fat Max box, and it's just too far to reach. So I thought I'm going to put them all in this drawer, and they just keep coming, and quickly realized that that's not going to work. So these ones that I originally put in there are ones that I do not use very often. They are my confetti heart, my confetti Mickey, and then I have some circles and some scallop circles. So I put those over on the shoe rack. And the ones that I use the most, which include my border punches, my small circle, heart, and star punches, those all went into this container. And I hate the fact that manufacturers create their border punches differently. I wish that they were all created like the EK Success ones, because they can be folded down and closed up, whereas some of the Martha Stewart ones just have these big awkward handles. But I do spend a lot of time playing Tetris with these punches, trying to get them all in place. But I think that I finally did a configuration that's going to work. And I spent a lot of time on this because I wanted it to be something where it was easily accessible, but also easily put back. These are all the punches that did not fit in there, and they went back over in the shoe rack. And I really just did them by the ones that I use the most. So just moving the boxes around so that it's even, which doesn't make any difference because it's going to move in eventually anyways. I picked up these containers at the Dollar Tree. My Dollar Tree has a Dollar Tree Plus section, so these containers were $5. I want to give a shout out to Nicole, Cheyenne, and Abby. All three of them received a picture of 2 sets of containers, this one and another one that I did not get. And I was like, here's my plan. Which one is better? And they all 3 agreed that this would be better, which I'm super excited that I got these. I actually ended up with 4 of them. So here's my plan. At the top is all of my bags from Disney. Now this has all of my pieces from Disney that I picked up, like my maps and my buttons and scavenger hunts and things like that. And they are divided in bags, which I'm not 100% happy about, but I don't have another solution and it kind of works, so I'm just going with it. All of the ones that are from previous years are in the top rack. The bottom rack is going to be a place for me to just dump 2024. And then when 2024 is over, I will take all of that out, put it in a bag, put it in the top, and then the bottom will be for 2025. It makes sense in my brain. It may not make sense in yours, and that's perfectly fine. I'm okay with that. So now I'm going through these pink and green containers that were on the under the shelf racks in my closet and going through all of the stuff, trying to decide what I need to keep and what I can get rid of. I'm using that little red and white tin as the donation box. And I have a trash underneath me and I'm throwing things away that are just trash. And again, it's an immediate decision. Do I use this? Have I picked this up? Have I thought about this? If not, it's going in the bin because it's been in my room long enough taking up room. I then pulled out another cleaning rag and my Scentsy counter clean and cleaned out all of these containers. And this is another thing, that it was underneath the shelf in a closet, which it doesn't have doors, but still. And these containers were nasty. I swear to you that I am not a nasty person, but after going through this cleaning process and cleaning things that obviously I haven't cleaned in a while, I don't know if I am or am not a nasty person. Just things have gotten away from me. So these containers are made out of like a vinyl-y rubbery thing. So I'm leaving them all empty and separate. I didn't want to stack them because I wanted to make sure that they were dry from the counter clean before I put anything in them. So that's why they're all kind of stacked over to the right. So then I have this pink box of stuff that I have gone through, and I did that off camera, but I went through the stuff that I was like, I'm not going to keep this, it's gone. But everything that was in the shoe rack that I still wanted to keep went back in the pink box, and that way I could come in here and just dump it in the shoe rack. Then I decided to take everything that was in those pink and green containers and find a spot for it on the shoe rack. And I can't believe how much more space I have because I completely eliminated all of those containers under the racks on the shelves, and they're all now in the shoe racks. And I don't know if I've mentioned this before, but I am doing a rewatch of Dawson's Creek. I am finally on season 6, which is the last season. So every time that I am looking up and looking away from whatever I'm doing, it's because Dawson's Creek is on TV and I'm watching it. So when I was going through the papers in the living room, I was watching Dawson's Creek. Right here, I'm watching Dawson's Creek. This is really the only way that I truly watch TV is if I'm doing something else, something usually mindless. All right, so now I'm sitting down with my embellishment books. These pink binders is what I had before. I had 3 of them when I first started out, and I combined all of the colors. I went kind of with color families. But the mistake that I made, and I have not done this since then, was I would put one color on the front and a different color on the back. And so when I moved to the 1-inch binders over a year ago, I want to preface that, I told myself, oh, I'll do this later. The ones that had the colors on different sides. So like this particular page has yellow on one side and I think white on the other. And it's been over a year that they have been sitting over there. So I decided this is the time. So I'm going through these pink binders. There's only a couple pages in there, and I'm moving over the embellishments. I will tell you that I learned a lot since I originally started this journey of the color binders several years ago. I have 2 videos on my channel. My first embellishment book has over 1,700 views. It's my most popular video. And I learned so much from that. Then last year, I went to the 1-inch binders, and I love this technique so much better. And I've learned several things about what can and cannot go on page protectors, because stickers cannot go directly on a page protector. It will rip, it will stick, you'll have a hard time getting it off. You have to add either the wax paper or save the sticker sheets, because those things are like gold. When you empty a sticker sheet, I save them, and then I adhere those to the page protectors and put the stickers on top of it. Anything that does not have adhesive, like ephemera, tags, things like that, I put just a small amount of ATG on the back of it and stick it directly to the page protectors. There are times when the sticker or the embellishment piece will rip a little bit on the back. I don't really care. It's going on the back of the page. You're not going to be able to see it. I just adhere it down with some liquid adhesive. I've already linked my embellishment book, so I can't link it again, but I will post it below if you do want to go watch the updated version of my embellishment books. I do plan to go through these embellishment books, and that's going to be later on in the video, where I am just going through and purging some of them that I'm just not going to use. When I first started this, I saved every embellishment. I was like, I could absolutely use it at some point, but I know what I will and will not use, and there's some really not so pretty things in here that are just not my style. Maybe other people would love them, but I will not. So this box here that I brought out has page protectors and just white cardstock. I pick up the white cardstock from Walmart. I'll link it below if you want to go pick it up. It is the white cardstock in 8.5 by 11 that I print my journaling on. I use it in the center of these pieces, and I print when I do digital cuts as well. It's nice weight cardstock. Some of my color binders only have one color in it, greens, blues, those only have one color, but most of them do have multiple colors, like my reds and oranges are together. And again, I didn't film everything, but you get the idea of what I was doing with those embellishment books. And now it's time to lay down some contact paper. I have never done contact paper in this size before, and it was actually really simple. I found a how to apply contact paper to a table in 3 minutes on YouTube. I swear I use YouTube for everything, but these are the things that she recommended. You first lay everything out and you put heavy objects on it. So I have my yearbooks, I put those on the contact paper. It helped so much with the bubbles. I then have this scraper. You can use an old credit card. This is a scraper tool from Pampered Chef that you get with the stones. And I also have my brayer. And you need to just pull off a small section. Make sure you get all of the air bubbles out of that section, and then continue moving down the line. And then moving the heavy objects with you as you move down the line. This went on like butter. It was super easy to put on. I didn't have any issues. I didn't have any air bubbles. I just went slow and steady, which doesn't look that way because I have this sped up quite a bit, but this did take me a little while to put it down. Now, I will tell you that when I got towards the end, I didn't have the room to put the books down, and this is where I know that the books helped, because this section down here at the very end had so many air bubbles. I had so many issues with trying to get the air bubbles to come out because I didn't have the weight on the contact paper. So the weight is important. And then I just wrapped it underneath. I don't care that it doesn't go all the way underneath. I don't care that it probably looks crappy underneath. No one ever sees it. They're only going to see the top part of it. I just cut a small line and then tucked in this edge here. I wasn't too worried about it because the same piece of material that I used on the shelves, I'm going to tack down over this contact paper. So I wasn't too worried about it being straight or even. I wanted to make sure all the bubbles were out. I wanted to make sure that it looked nice on the edge, but that was all that I was really concerned about. I also laid the books on top of it after I was done, and I don't know that I really needed to do that, but it was there. So now what I'm doing is working on the shelves in my bookcase. I had this idea of making these two shelves really close together and then putting these flat letter containers in it. One of them has my white cardstock that I use for my Dickers, which I will link Nicole's video here if you have not seen it. It's an amazing tutorial. And then the other one has my Doodlebug batik prints that I keep so that I can make tiny stars and tiny hearts with them. I got rid of all of the books except for my yearbooks and my who's who of high school something. My name's in it, so that's why we have it. And I put those down, but then I have to have them for the other piece of the table, which I'm currently waiting on from Amazon. The 2 photo boxes at the top have just random stuff that I don't use very often. The bottom one, which is the floral one, has like my camera supply stuff in it for my digital camera, my SLR. And then the top one, I put all of those ink splatter inks in it, so like my spray inks, because I don't use them very often. And I did put it on top because I wanted to make sure that I could get to it if I needed to use it. And at this point, I've decided that I'm not going to film everything because 1, it gets repetitive, and 2, I think that this video is going to be super long already. So if you stayed this far, bless you, because I honestly don't know why anybody would be interested in this, but here we are. So what I decided to do was go through stuff in boxes and doing that same technique that I showed you when I was doing it on my desk. I have 1 container of stuff that needs to go back in my room. Doesn't matter where, just goes in that box. I have 1 container that is donation, and I've separated the donation by scrapbook donation and then just random stuff that needs to go to the Salvation Army. So I have boxes for those, and then I have a trash, and it's immediate items in those boxes. If I don't know what it is, it goes back into the same box so that I can figure it out later. And that's just what works for me. I'm definitely not a neurotypical person. And so my brain is all over the place. And I just find ways and things that work for me. And so you may be looking at this video going, that woman is crazy for doing it that way. That wouldn't work for me. And that's great. But this is what works for me. And then once I had a full box of things that needed to go in my room, I would set the camera up and I would start to put things away. This idea I got from Nicole. I had some leftover poster board. I think I used something for Scentsy and I created something, and these were just leftover pieces. And when I was at Dollar Tree, she said, go pick up some foam board because you can make dividers with that. And I don't remember laughing at her. She said that I laughed at her. I don't remember this. But I remember thinking, that's a really good idea, but I don't need to buy foam board because I had these pieces. Now they're black instead of white, but they're in a drawer and no one's going to see it. What I'm doing is creating a divider to divide this drawer in half. And then I'm also going to create a divider to divide one side of it in half as well. On the right-hand side, which is the side that's closest to me, has my fun foam. And then on the left-hand side is my envelopes. This is how I store my envelopes. I just keep envelopes that I get from getting pictures developed, as well as envelopes that I have purchased. A while ago purchased a big stack of them. And once I get the photos printed, I will put them in these envelopes, and then I'm able to store the envelopes in the bags with the collections. And then I will just throw the envelope in this drawer and repeat that cycle. I'll write on the envelope what is in the envelope, and then I'll just scratch it out when I'm done with it and ready to use it again. So now I've started to bring in like larger things. So I brought in my paint container, the circle one that says rather be scrapping. I brought in my bling. I have brought in just random pieces that need to go. And I'm just really looking around, seeing the first place that it can fit. And my thought process is that the stuff that I don't use on the regular is going in the bottom of the bookshelves. So at first I put those envelopes in the top shelf of that bookcase, and I was like, nope, I'm not going to pull this out, so it needs to go to the bottom. I put my threads on the top of the bookshelf because that's something that I reach for often. So now I have enlisted the help of Eli again, and this is where I'm going to be putting that same white piece from the shelves in my closet on the desk. I did not use the wood glue on this because I wasn't sure how the wood glue would affect the contact paper that's here. And I don't think that I really needed it. But we did put a ton of finishing nails in the decorative piece. Eli was really excited about this. So I told him, let me put the ones that are on the very end and then one in the center, and then you can go to town with the rest of them. I will tell you that I ran over my foot here and I have a bruise on my foot. This chair is not meant to roll around like this. But I did eventually get the ones that I wanted to get down, and then I let Eli go to town with it. And you can see there that I looked at my foot. It hurt so bad. So just watching Eli here, this one is extremely bent. So I was telling him how to fix it, and then he hammered his thumb, but he did eventually get it in. And then I held the center to make sure that it was level with the door. And at this point, you can't even tell that it's a door. I did off camera, I forgot to tell you guys this. My mom has this tool that will cut holes for doors. It goes on the drill. And so when we were at Lowe's, we asked for just scraps of wood, and I was able to find some really thin wood. I had to cut 3 of them using that tool that would cut out the hole, but the wood circles are perfect size. And I adhered them together with the wood glue, and then used the wood glue around the edge of the circle to fit it inside of the door hole. So now my door hole is a level place. It's no longer a hole there. There's a circle wood piece in it. So after he got all of those down, I finally got the purchase from Amazon. I purchased the roll, and I was like, oh, this should be perfectly fine. And when I got the roll in, I tested it out and saw that it would only fit the half of the door. So I had to order a second one. And I also ordered the vacuum pieces that I needed. So all of that came in. And I will tell you that this is super easy to line up, probably because it's a wood plank, and obviously that's pretty easy to line up. I did the exact same technique. I laid it out. I put the books on top of it. This one was a little bit more difficult, and it probably wouldn't have been so bad if I had turned the door around. I was being lazy and didn't want to do it, and I should have just done it. But I ended up cutting off the backing of the contact paper, which that was a mistake because it took me forever to get that piece up. So I lay down the edge of the contact paper, making sure that I don't have any bubbles, and then making sure that it lays over the edge of the door. And then this is where I had to move the door out a bit so that I could get a handle on the backing of the contact paper. Because I had cut it shorter, I couldn't get a hold of it. I kept tearing the contact paper. So if you do decide to cut the contact paper, just make sure you have enough to grab onto. But I'm doing the exact same process of making sure that the books are there to hold down the weight. I'm also having to make sure that it is lining up straight so that you cannot see the seam. And you really can't. If you are looking at it, you cannot see the seam at all. You can run your hand over the contact paper and obviously feel where the seam is, but it is flawless. And I am beyond excited about the way that my door / tabletop now looks with the white finishing edge and the wood grain top. It's just a gorgeous piece, and every time I walk into my scrapbook room now, I'm super excited to see it. I did take the door off of the containers to make sure that the contact paper was wrapped around the door properly, and you can see here where I am just making sure that it has a tight fit along the edge. And that is against the wall. No one's going to see it. I'm not putting a finishing edge on that side. I'm just making sure that it is stuck. Now, it does go further on that side, and I did that because I knew that I wasn't putting the finishing touch on it, so I wanted to make sure that the contact paper had more of the back of the table to grip. These are some just off pieces that I had from the pieces that I had cut. And so I added one down, and then I have another one. I have to take it back over to my mom's house and get my mom to cut it with her saw so that I can finish off the edge of it. And I'm really just doing those 2 sides. There's one side against the wall. There's one side against the window. No one's going to see that, and I don't care. So it just is what it is. And I'm going to always have a setup like this. I highly doubt that I'll ever have this set up like in the middle of a room. And if I do decide to do that, I'll just go purchase the pieces and finish the rest of the door. I took a trip to Hobby Lobby trying to find those containers, and I couldn't find them. But these containers Abby uses, and she's recommended them, so I thought I would give them a try. I'm going to put my bigger collections in there. I first started out with Bella Boulevard's Carson collection, and I haven't put this all together yet, but I do like this better than the bags. It has a more sturdy fix to it, and I feel like it's going to stand up better. And I have an idea as to how I'm going to store these, but I feel like it would be better explained when I have a visual, so I will explain that when I put them all together. Hobby Lobby only had 3 in stock, and they were only $2.99. I did do a rain check And when you do a rain check at Hobby Lobby, what that means is they will order what you want. So I ordered 10 additional of these, and she said it would be in next week, and then I would go in and pay for them, which I don't even know that 10 is going to be enough. Probably a lot more. So now that my desk is fully contact papered, I don't know if that's really a term, but that's what I'm going with, I decided to start setting up my desk. Before, I had a mix of a bunch of different containers, and I thought, you know what, why don't I just bring in all of these pink containers, because I no longer need them over there in my closet. And I also had a bunch of foam adhesive extras that I kept on my desk. Don't need those. So those went over into the shoe rack behind my door, and I just kept just 2 things. So when that run low, I'll go get another one. So in these containers, I have one full of washi tape. I have one full of adhesive and my jute twine, as well as these new things that I just picked up from Simple Stories. They're little plastic squares, and they help you see what size is good to cut out in a 2x2, 3x3, 4x4, 3x4, and 4x6. And I thought I could use those when I'm cutting out things. I feel like it's a simple purchase, but I'm really looking forward to using that. And then in the third container is my foam adhesive scraps that I use. So my full sheets of foam adhesive are in the drawer, and then my scraps are on my desk. And then next to it is my sticker maker, my glue dots, my glue press, my ATG gun, as well as my ink dauber. And then this thing over on the right is where I store my iPad. I got it from IKEA. It's like super cheap. Over on the far right, I have a shelf, and that's where I keep all my color boxes. So I am pulling all of the color boxes out of these containers that I put them in when I was putting them out of my room. And what I do for my color boxes that I don't have the colors for, I have just one enamel dot on the outside of it. But I swear to you, every time I put them up there, it's like on the wrong side. So I thought, I'm just going to put one on both sides. So I just found an enamel dot, put it on both sides. So now I know exactly what colors are in the color boxes, regardless of which side ends up being facing forward. Some color boxes I have 2 of. You can see I have 2 blues. I also have 2 greens. Because I have so many enamel dots, I have one that just has circle enamel dots, and then the other one has shapes, so hearts, stars, things like that. If I have a ton of them, then I will do 2 color boxes. I purchased my enamel dots from a couple of different places. I always check Peachy Cheap. It's a email that they send you daily for daily deals, if they have them there. Freckled Fawn has really good ones, and then also LA Studio. And I just wait for them to have like a warehouse sale or their semi-annual sale or something like that, and I'll go in and pick up a bunch of them because they're like $1 a sheet. Now this is where I am putting my fun foam away, and you'll see that it looks like I'm talking to myself. I'm actually sending a voice memo to Nicole because I took a picture of my dividers and I was showing her, look, I used your idea, and she sent me a voice memo going, I distinctly remember you laughing at me. So I want to apologize because even though I did not think that I laughed at her, she thought I did, and I did not laugh at her. I thought it was an amazing idea, and I love the fact that I have dividers in my drawers now. Once I got all of the color boxes emptied, I put them on the top shelf of my closet. And I realize that this is off frame, so I will show that to you in just a second. I also needed to put the yearbooks away again, since I had already done it. Again, it's off frame, but you get the idea. So here I slowed this down so that you can see on the top shelf, I have my vinyl and my Bind It All, those containers that I can carry my color boxes in, those 2 photo boxes that I told you about, and then all of my albums. I did put my 12 by 24 paper underneath the albums at the very end. That white box I got from the Dollar Tree as well in their Dollar Tree Plus. I paid $3 for it, and that now holds what was in that smaller container where I have all my ephemera. So that's the pieces that I got from every other place, like Universal and other places that we've gone on vacation. So there's maps and postcards and things like that. And then I also did put the 2 containers for my friends who I scrapbook for. Both of their collections are in there, so I just have 2 now. In the rack underneath the shelf, I have my extra foam adhesive. I have my little container there for glitter and stuff. It's one of those things that I don't know if I'll use it, but I'm not getting rid of it because it's not that big of a deal. I also put my metal dies in the closet. I don't like it there. That's going to come out. Then I have my bling in there. My adhesive stayed. Then I have all of my paper underneath. You can see my yearbooks down there in the corner. All right, and so now I am moving my Fat Max box back in. I love this thing. I picked it up at Home Depot. It is well worth the investment. I think it was like $100. The bottom container does hold 12 by 12 paper. It is super easy to take to crops, but it does get heavy and you will need a friend to lift it if you put a ton of things in the bottom rack, especially a ton of paper. And so now I just have another set of things that I'm going through, putting things away. I found this cup holder. I think it's from Creative Memories. I don't know if I'm going to keep it there or not. I just put it there, put my water cup, because today I spilled water on my table. So I was like, let me just put it over there. I have a super long charger for my iPad. I don't know why I have it such a long charger, but I do. So I had to untangle that, put that all together. And then I also have a hands-free charger. I like it because my phone then sits upright in front of me. So I can keep it off frame, but I can still see it without having to pick it up and look at it. So I plug that in. So at this point, I had one of my regular dog sitters owner contact me and ask me to take in a dog on Friday. We were not supposed to have a dog until Saturday. Well, I started to panic because my living room looks like a hot mess. So my thought process was, let me get everything that I can in the room and then decide from there. I wanted to point this out because you can see here that I have 4 blades. This is what an unorganized room has, because I had 4 separate containers that had 1 blade each in it, which means that I bought a blade, I used a blade because I needed it, and then I couldn't find the container, so then I went and bought another blade. So I made sure that I put it in a spot that I could find it, so that now I do not have to buy blades. I don't have to buy blades very often because I don't use that trimmer very often, but I do use it to gut. Eli had taken the trash out for me, but of course didn't put the trash bag in there properly. He just kind of stuck it in there, so had to make sure that it was all out so that it didn't fall out. I decided to go through these pictures. These pictures were in the bottom shelf over on the side of my desk, and I'm not going through them trying to decide anything right now. These are super old pictures from when I was in college, right after college, high school even. I decided that I have all of these photo boxes that are empty, so why not use them? So instead of putting them in a drawer, I am putting all of these photos in this photo box. I wanted to show you this here. These photos were picked up in 2015 and I paid 10 cents for them. And I feel like that was just the price, like 75 photos and they were 10 cents, no sale. So I'm just going through, taking out the stuff that isn't a photo. There were embellishment pieces in there. There was a CD. There was just random stuff. So anything that was a photo went in the photo box, and I'm going to put it on the top shelf of my closet. All of this stuff, that extra ephemera stuff that I don't know what to do with, is going in what I am now lovingly call the junk drawer, which is the top cabinet of my file cabinet. I then had some just random ephemera pieces, some enamel dots and wood veneer that needed to be put away, so I did that. I had one color that I wasn't sure if it was blue or green. I did end up with a green. It was like a sea foamy green color. So I did end up putting it in the green box. I have ordered my clear mat from Amazon, but it hasn't come in yet. So that's why my pink mat's still there. I pulled out this pink box that had some other pieces in it, and most of the stuff ended up being in my Fat Max box. So I put it over there. All right, guys, so that is the end of my organization of my room. I do decide that the rest of the organization is going to be done off camera. Right now, I am sitting at about an hour and a half of videos for you guys. I still have the last video that is my room tour after everything has been put back in my room, and that one's also about a 30-minute video. So this entire series was about 2 hours, and I thought at this point that's enough for you guys. I am sure that you guys are loving these longer videos and getting all of the detailed information about my room. I'm also come to a point where it's starting to be redundant. So come back next week so that you can see the final reveal of my room. I cannot wait to show you guys what my new scrapbook room looks like. If you're enjoying this series, if you wouldn't mind giving me a thumbs up, I would really appreciate it. And if you are looking for more double page layout inspiration, make sure you hit that subscribe button because that's what you mainly get on my channel. Thanks everyone for watching, and I hope that you have a scrappy day.